The Let's Rap About It podcast has been one of the most talked about shows in hip-hop, bringing together legendary names like Jim Jones, Mano, and Dave East to discuss culture, music, and the drama that shakes the streets. But now, everything has taken a shocking turn. Jim Jones has finally spoken out, breaking his silence on rumors, beef, and controversy surrounding the podcast, and what he revealed has fans absolutely stunned. For months, speculation has swirled online. Is the podcast over? Did the drama behind the scenes push Mano away? And now, with Jim Jones speaking directly, the answers are shocking. Sources close to the situation say that tensions had been simmering for a while, with disagreements over creative control, guest selections, and even alleged disrespect from certain figures in the hip-hop community. These issues, fans are learning, are far bigger than anyone imagined, and Jim Jones isn't holding back. Social media has exploded with reactions. Fans are replaying clips, debating what Jones said, and wondering how this will affect the future of the podcast. The combination of personal revelations, behind-the-scenes drama, and the long-standing feuds in Harlem has created a moment that is raw, unfiltered, and completely captivating. If you thought you knew the full story behind Let's Rap About It, think again. Jim Jones' statements are shaking the hip-hop world, leaving fans shocked, speechless, and demanding more. What happened behind the mic, what led to the fallout, and what it means for the podcast's future, it's all about to be exposed in full. As the tension from Jim Jones' revelations settled, the ripple effects were immediate and massive. Fans, bloggers, and hip-hop commentators scrambled to share clips, analyze statements, and debate the fallout. Every word he said seemed to have layers, some obvious, some subtle, and every nuance sparked a wave of conversation online. Social media timelines were flooded with reactions, with fans dissecting expressions, tone, and what was left unsaid, because in hip-hop, what isn't said can often carry as much weight as what is. The situation was far from straightforward. Sources close to the podcast reveal that the tension had been building behind the scenes for months. Disagreements over creative direction, guest selection, and even interpersonal dynamics between hosts created a simmering pressure cooker that, until now, had remained largely hidden from the public eye. Fans who thought the show was simply about casual conversations were quickly learning just how intricate and high-stakes the dynamics really were. Jim Jones' willingness to speak out pulled back the curtain, exposing the complexity and sometimes fragile balance needed to keep such a high-profile show running. Mano's absence became a central point of discussion. Many wondered whether the drama directly influenced his decision to step away or distance himself from certain episodes. Although no official statement had been made at the time, insiders suggested that behind-the-scenes disagreements were a major factor. There were whispers about tensions over topics covered, how discussions were handled, and differing opinions on how much personal conflict should be addressed on air. In a podcast that thrives on authenticity, these disagreements created friction that wasn't easy to resolve. The Harlem connection added another layer to the story. For fans familiar with the city's intricate hip-hop network, the relationships between Jim Jones, Mano, and others were never just about music. Loyalty, reputation, and personal history all played major roles. Every reaction from Jones, every subtle jab, and every story shared carried weight because the audience could connect it to prior events in the community. It wasn't just podcast drama, it was a microcosm of ongoing conversations and conflicts in Harlem, which made the stakes even higher. Social media amplified everything. Clips of Jim Jones' statements were immediately turned into TikToks, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts. Memes, reaction videos, and debate threads popped up almost instantly. Fans analyzed not just the content of his words, but also his delivery, his pauses, expressions, and the subtle way he emphasized certain points. These details became crucial because they suggested the depth of emotion and meaning behind each comment, feeding both speculation and discussion. Analysts began to break down the implications. Some argued that Jim Jones' candor might be a calculated move, positioning him as the central figure controlling the narrative of the podcast. Others suggested it was a raw, honest moment that reflected genuine frustration with unresolved issues. Either way, the reaction was clear. Fans were hooked, replaying moments, debating every angle, and speculating about what would happen next. At the heart of the drama was authenticity. Let's Rap About It built its reputation on unfiltered conversations about the music industry, street culture, and the personal experiences of its hosts. But authenticity can be a double-edged sword. Being honest and transparent with the audience sometimes exposes conflicts and disagreements that were better kept private. In this case, Jim Jones' statements provided clarity, but they also ignited tension and debate, illustrating just how precarious transparency can be in a space where relationships and reputations are everything. The reactions weren't limited to fans. Other artists, commentators, and influencers began weighing in. Some offered support for Jim Jones, praising his willingness to address issues head-on. Others questioned whether certain topics should have remained off-air, warning that public exposure could harm relationships and careers. Every perspective added another dimension to the story, showing how a single podcast episode could spark discussion across the hip-hop world and beyond. Meanwhile, speculation about the podcast's future continued. Would Mano return? How would Jim Jones and the remaining hosts navigate the tension moving forward? Would these revelations impact the show's popularity or credibility? Each question added suspense, keeping fans engaged and hungry for updates. The conversation extended beyond a single episode. It became a long-form narrative that could unfold over weeks, months, or even years, with each new statement adding fuel to the fire. Beyond the immediate drama, the episode highlighted the complexities of collaboration in hip-hop media. Different personalities, creative visions, and communication styles can clash even among seasoned professionals. Managing these dynamics requires balance, diplomacy, and sometimes compromise, qualities that become even more challenging when discussions are recorded and broadcast to millions. Jim Jones' willingness to speak openly revealed both the potential rewards and risks of transparency, showing that public discourse can elevate a show but also strain relationships. Fans also began revisiting past episodes, looking for context or signs of the tension that had now surfaced. They scrutinized previous conversations, analyzed body language, and compared statements, piecing together a timeline of events. This retrospective analysis fueled further discussion and speculation, creating a feedback loop where past content gained new relevance. Social media engagement soared, demonstrating the enduring power of narrative when combined with personality, transparency, and high-stakes drama. Insiders indicate that the conversation is far from over. Even though Jim Jones made key revelations, the ripple effects will continue to impact the podcast, its hosts, and the wider hip-hop community. Every clip shared, comment posted, and analysis created by fans or media outlets keeps the topic alive, proving that a single episode can become a long-lasting cultural moment. Ultimately, this situation underscores the unique appeal of Let's Rap About It. It's more than a podcast, it's a platform where voices can be heard, conflicts can be aired, and fans can engage directly with the personalities they follow. The mixture of honesty, drama, and strategic storytelling ensures that moments like this don't just end with an episode. They ripple across social media, news outlets, and fan communities, creating a lasting impact that extends well beyond the initial broadcast. As discussions continue, one thing is clear: the drama surrounding Jim Jones and the podcast has captured the attention of the hip-hop world. Fans are watching closely, speculating constantly, and eagerly awaiting the next chapter in a story filled with tension, loyalty, and the raw realities of the music industry. Every reaction, every new revelation, and every comment from the hosts adds to the ongoing narrative, proving that this isn't just a moment. It's a defining era for the podcast and everyone involved. As the dust began to settle from Jim Jones' revelations, the conversation shifted toward Mano. Fans, commentators, and fellow artists alike were fixated on one pressing question: why did Mano step away from Let's Rap About It, and how much of it was related to the recent drama? Social media buzz suggested that the tension behind the scenes had been quietly building for months, creating a delicate situation that eventually became too complicated to navigate. While no official statement from Mano had been released at this point, Insiders hinted at creative differences, personality clashes, and disagreements over the show's direction as central reasons for his absence. The intrigue surrounding Mano's departure became a hot topic among fans. Some argued that the drama with Jim Jones forced his hand, while others suggested it was a strategic decision on his part to protect his brand and maintain credibility. Analysts on YouTube and TikTok dissected old episodes, highlighting moments where Mano seemed to hold back or subtly express frustration. These micro-expressions, combined with behind-the-scenes leaks, fed speculation and made it seem like the audience was watching an unfolding reality drama, even though it was framed as a podcast discussion. Meanwhile, Harlem streets and social media spaces were abuzz with commentary. The city's hip-hop community has always had an intricate web of relationships, and this episode only intensified the spotlight on loyalty, respect, and reputation. Longtime fans noticed subtle references in Jim Jones' statements that hinted at unresolved issues from previous conflicts. The tension wasn't just between the hosts, it extended to the broader Harlem network, where past rivalries and alliances carried weight in every conversation. The dynamics between the hosts were a key factor in the podcast's drama. Jim Jones' direct approach clashed with Mano's more measured style, creating moments of friction that were sometimes subtle, but always felt significant to fans who followed the show closely. Dave East and other contributors added additional layers, often mediating conversations or providing context, but even their efforts couldn't fully mask the underlying tension. Each episode became a balancing act, with hosts negotiating personal dynamics while maintaining the show's brand and audience appeal. Social media, of course, amplified everything. Clips of tense exchanges were clipped into short-form videos, generating thousands of comments, likes, and shares. Fans speculated endlessly about who was right, who overreacted, and what the fallout would mean for future episodes. TikTok trends included hashtags referencing the podcast, Jim Jones, Mano, and even specific phrases from contentious discussions, turning insider moments into viral talking points. Reaction videos dissected every gesture, pause, and inflection, creating layers of analysis that kept the conversation alive for days after each episode aired. The drama wasn't limited to the hosts themselves. Behind-the-scenes sources suggested that production staff, managers, and advisors were also deeply involved in navigating the situation. Decisions about what content to record, what episodes to release, and how to manage sensitive discussions became strategic moves. The stakes were high. Mismanaging the conflict could harm relationships, reduce viewership, or even damage reputations. In the world of hip-hop media, perception is everything, and this episode highlighted how every choice, on camera or off, could have lasting consequences. Fans also debated the role of authenticity in the conflict. Let's Rap About It built its reputation on unfiltered conversations, but when personal disagreements spill into public view, it raises questions about boundaries. Jim Jones' candid revelations were praised for honesty, but criticized by some for airing too much behind-the-scenes conflict. Mano's measured absence, conversely, was interpreted as a strategic attempt to protect his image while avoiding direct confrontation. These contrasting approaches sparked discussions about the balance between transparency and discretion, and how each host navigates public scrutiny differently. Meanwhile, Harlem's hip-hop culture played a pivotal role in framing the audience's reaction. Fans familiar with the city's history understood that loyalty, reputation, and street credibility were deeply intertwined with the podcast's content. References in Jim Jones' statements hinted at old feuds, past alliances, and unspoken tensions, making each episode feel like more than just a podcast. It became a live documentation of evolving relationships within the community. For viewers, this added an extra layer of meaning, turning casual conversations into culturally significant events. The podcast's digital footprint magnified every detail. Views, likes, and comments surged on each episode, with analytics showing that fans were engaging for longer periods than usual. Reactions were not just passive. Fans actively created content, participated in debates, and shared clips widely. Social media algorithms responded by pushing these clips further, creating a feedback loop that kept the drama trending for days. Every post, every meme, and every reaction contributed to the ongoing narrative, proving that fan engagement plays a critical role in amplifying the impact of high-profile conflicts. Analysts also noted the impact on the broader media ecosystem. Hip-hop news outlets, YouTube commentary channels, and Instagram influencers quickly picked up the story, providing their own breakdowns and analysis. Some framed it as a cultural moment, highlighting the implications for Harlem's hip-hop scene and the podcast's future. Others focused on personality dynamics, comparing the hosts' approaches and debating who handled the tension best. Across platforms, the discussion demonstrated how a single podcast episode could transcend its original context, becoming a wider social and cultural conversation. The interplay between public perception and personal relationships was another critical factor. Jim Jones' revelations sparked both support and criticism, illustrating the complexity of navigating fame in the digital age. Fans applauded his honesty and willingness to address issues head-on, while others worried that exposing behind-the-scenes conflict could erode trust or create lasting divisions among the hosts. The tension between maintaining authenticity and managing perception became a central theme, reflecting broader challenges faced by creators in the modern media landscape. As speculation about Mano's future involvement continued, attention also shifted to potential resolutions. Would the hosts reconcile? Would the podcast continue without him? And how would the ongoing drama influence guest appearances, episode topics, and the overall direction of the show? Each question fueled anticipation, keeping viewers invested and eager for updates. The story had evolved from a single revelation into an ongoing saga, with multiple layers of intrigue and suspense. At the same time, the podcast's production team faced unique challenges. Decisions about editing, releasing clips, and framing episodes required careful consideration. Balancing dramatic moments with entertainment value while managing the reputational impact on the hosts became a delicate task. Every choice influenced fan perception and engagement, demonstrating the intricate planning that underlies content that seems spontaneous or unfiltered. Audience reactions further shaped the narrative. Comments and discussions online revealed divided opinions. Some fans aligned with Jim Jones' approach, valuing candor and confrontation, while others sympathized with Mano's absence, appreciating his strategic discretion. The contrast in perspectives created dynamic conversations, with fans debating not only what had happened, but also what the ideal response should have been. This debate added longevity to the story, ensuring that the conversation would remain active beyond the initial episode. The tension between personal dynamics and public scrutiny also highlighted the evolving nature of media in hip-hop. Unlike traditional interviews or controlled appearances, podcasts offer a raw, unfiltered format that captures genuine interactions. However, the immediacy of social media amplifies every moment, meaning that off-the-cuff remarks, subtle gestures, and even pauses can become significant points of discussion. This environment requires hosts to navigate both interpersonal relationships and audience expectations simultaneously, a challenge that became evident in the recent episodes of Let's Rap About It. Behind the drama, the podcast's core appeal remains strong, honest conversations about hip-hop, culture, and real-life experiences. Despite the tension, fans continued to tune in, drawn by the personalities, insights, and unfolding drama. Each episode served not only as entertainment, but also as a reflection of larger cultural narratives, including loyalty, authenticity, and accountability in the music industry. The combination of personality-driven content and high-stakes tension created a compelling viewing experience, keeping fans invested in the story. The digital reaction also showcased how fan culture can influence media narratives. Memes, clips, and reaction videos turned moments from the podcast into viral content, spreading the story beyond traditional audiences. Fans analyzed, debated, and shared insights, effectively co-creating the narrative alongside the hosts. This participatory culture emphasized the power of audiences in shaping the impact and reach of media events, especially in hip-hop, where social media plays a critical role in amplifying drama and discussion. Meanwhile, the ongoing questions about Mano's involvement and the future of the podcast created suspense that kept viewers returning. The combination of unresolved tension, insider revelations, and the potential for reconciliation or further conflict ensured that the story remained engaging and newsworthy. Fans weren't just passive viewers, they became active participants in a narrative that unfolded in real time, illustrating the unique dynamics of modern entertainment and celebrity culture. Ultimately, the second part of this saga demonstrated the complex interplay of personality, media, and audience engagement. Jim Jones' revelations, Mano's absence, and the surrounding drama created a rich narrative that resonated across platforms, communities, and audiences. It highlighted the challenges of collaboration, the importance of reputation, and the power of transparency in shaping public perception. As fans continued to discuss, analyze, and speculate, the story evolved from a single episode into an ongoing cultural moment. Every comment, clip, and reaction added to the narrative, ensuring that the drama surrounding Let's Rap About It and its hosts remained a topic of fascination. The combination of behind-the-scenes tension, public scrutiny, and fan engagement created a dynamic ecosystem that will continue to unfold, keeping viewers hooked and invested in every development. As the drama surrounding the podcast continued to unfold, Harlem's community and the broader hip-hop world became increasingly invested. Every revelation from Jim Jones, coupled with Mano's absence, sparked heated debate. The city that birthed so many legendary artists has always been attentive to the dynamics of loyalty, respect, and influence. Fans and insiders alike dissected each interaction, reading between the lines to understand alliances, past disputes, and subtle power plays that shaped the podcast's conversations. Harlem wasn't just a backdrop, it was a central character in the narrative, influencing both how events unfolded and how they were perceived by the audience. Social media played a critical role in amplifying the drama. Clips of tense exchanges and revealing statements were transformed into viral content within hours. TikTok, Instagram Reels, and YouTube Shorts became battlegrounds of discussion with fans, creating compilations, reaction videos, and commentary breakdowns. Memes highlighted the most shocking moments, while analysis videos provided context and history, keeping the conversation alive across multiple platforms. Every comment section became a forum for debate, speculation, and fan theories, with users attempting to piece together what happened behind the scenes. The rapid dissemination of information turned the podcast from a show into a cultural event, with the audience participating in shaping the narrative. The ripple effects extended beyond fans. Fellow artists and influencers weighed in on the controversy, offering opinions and sometimes stirring further tension. Some praised Jim Jones for his candor and ability to speak openly about issues, while others criticized the exposure of behind-the-scenes conflicts, warning that public disputes could damage relationships and reputations. Each statement added layers to the story, proving that the impact of the podcast extended far beyond its immediate viewership. The episode became a reference point for discussions about authenticity, transparency, and conflict in hip-hop media. Mano's absence remained a central talking point. Was it a strategic move, a response to personal disagreements, or a combination of both? Fans debated his motivations endlessly, analyzing old episodes for subtle clues. Clips showing moments of tension, hesitation, or disagreement were dissected and shared widely, reinforcing the idea that his departure was not random, but deeply connected to the underlying dynamics of the show. The speculation created suspense, keeping the audience engaged and invested in the story over an extended period. The interplay of personalities was crucial to understanding the situation. Jim Jones' assertive, sometimes confrontational style contrasted with Mano's measured, deliberate approach. Dave East and other contributors often acted as mediators, providing balance and context, but even they couldn't fully neutralize the underlying tension. As the narrative evolved, the potential consequences for the podcast became increasingly apparent. Would Mano return? Could tensions be resolved? Would the show continue to thrive, or would internal conflict undermine its success? These questions fueled ongoing speculation and kept viewers tuned in, eager for updates. The podcast had transitioned from entertainment to an evolving saga, with each episode building on the last, creating anticipation for what might happen next. In addition to the immediate drama, the situation shed light on the broader landscape of modern hip-hop media. Podcasts offer a platform for authentic discussion, but they also expose hosts to scrutiny, critique, and public debate. Every moment is amplified, every gesture interpreted, and every statement analyzed. The experience of Let's Rap About It illustrated how modern media combines storytelling, personality, and controversy to create content that resonates with fans while also presenting unique challenges for creators navigating fame, relationships, and public perception. The Harlem Connection continued to shape the audience's understanding of events. Fans familiar with the city's history of rap culture recognized the significance of personal relationships, street credibility, and the social dynamics at play. References in Jim Jones' statements hinted at long-standing rivalries and alliances, adding context and depth to the conversation. This cultural lens enhanced engagement as fans connected the drama to broader narratives about loyalty, respect, and influence within the community. By the time the dust began to settle, it was clear that this was more than a podcast conflict, it was a cultural moment. Fans had dissected every word, reaction, and clip, transforming a single episode into a multi-layered story that resonated across social media, blogs, and commentaries. The combination of raw personality, behind-the-scenes tension, and fan engagement created a dynamic ecosystem where the audience played as much of a role in the narrative as the hosts themselves. Ultimately, the saga surrounding Jim Jones and the Let's Rap About It podcast serves as a case study in modern entertainment. It demonstrates the power of transparency, the risks of airing private disagreements, and the influence of audience participation. Every moment of drama, every viral clip, and every online discussion contributed to the ongoing narrative, ensuring that the story remained relevant, engaging, and compelling long after the initial revelations. For fans and creators alike, the lesson is clear. In today's digital media landscape, content is not just produced, it is co-created with the audience, analyzed in real time, and amplified across platforms. The events surrounding this podcast highlight how personal dynamics, media strategy, and cultural context intersect to shape both perception and impact. The story of Jim Jones, Mano, and the Let's Rap About It podcast will be remembered not only for the drama itself, but also for how it reflected the evolving nature of entertainment, influence, and audience engagement in hip-hop today. And as the conversation continues, everyone is left asking, what's next for the podcast? Will Mano return? How will Jim Jones navigate the fallout? And which alliances or tensions will shape future episodes? One thing is certain, the story is far from over, and the world is watching every move.